When Narcissists Collide. The Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell Affair. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists can and do attract narcissists. Both seek to assert control over the other. They can both provide fuel to one another, ditto character traits and residual benefits. Of course, where the relationship ends up is an interesting one. In some instances, there's narcissistic cementation. Watch my video of that name to understand instances where two narcissists ostensibly work together. And often, there is a tumultuous outcome as a consequence of the competing needs of the narcissist clashing. In earlier series, I've written about when narcissists collide to explain some of those outcomes across intimate, social, or work relationships between differing types of narcissists. Here, we have an interesting coming together of two narcissists in Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell, the former President of the United States and Lieutenant of Jeffrey Epstein, all part of a rather sordid web of individuals. And an author called Jessica Reed Krause provided an article which I'm going to utilize as it provides an excellent basis of understanding more about how two narcissists interact together and how they can feed off one another. Jessica Reed Krause's article is all about the supposed affair that has taken place between Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell. And, as always, I leave it up to you to make a determination as to the veracity of the material, but proceeding on the basis that it is accurate, I'm going to also be providing my observations vis-à-vis the lens of narcissism. The article explains about, essentially, that there was a rumour that Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell had an affair, and that the author believes this rumour and regards it as a rumour with teeth, as she'd heard it from all corners of her reach and believed it worthy of printed theory. She'd also undertaken a deep dive into it. She explains, all roads in relation to the affair lead back to Douglas Band, Bill Clinton's longtime confidant and founding partner of the multinational advisory firm Teneo, entrenched in Clinton World, serving as Clinton's body man during his presidency and later as one of the key architects of his post-presidential empire. His contribution to one explosive Vanity Fair article changed everything. In Confessions of a Clinton World Exile, a year after Epstein's death, Band broke the code of silence, exposing a web of secrets simmering beneath the surface of American political life. Central to his revelations, Bill Clinton's rumoured love affair with Ghislaine Maxwell, then modestly known as the daughter of a disgraced media mogul and Jeffrey Epstein's closest associate. Band was blunt in print. I tried for years to keep Epstein at a distance, but Clinton just couldn't stay away. He also revealed Epstein was essentially a cover, an alibi for Clinton's real reason for spending time in Epstein's circle, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, as you know, former President Clinton is married to Hillary Clinton and was at the time, but demonstrating, of course, the infidelities of the narcissist, something that he has repeatedly been accused of. He was engaged in the pursuit of an intimate partner secondary source whilst cheating on his intimate partner primary source. It's something that Hillary Clinton tolerated. She once memorably said in an interview, there are worse things than infidelity that can happen in a marriage. And as a narcissist herself, I formed the view that she took the stance that so long as she was getting what she required from Bill, he was allowed to go and dip his wick elsewhere, so long as he didn't humiliate Hillary and make it plain and obvious. And it would appear once again that he was engaging in a sexual liaison but with Ghislaine Maxwell. According to unnamed sources, Clinton and Maxwell's relationship was intimate for years. Bill and Ghislaine were getting it on, a close witness said. With Epstein as a convenient alibi, they could ferry Clinton around the world so he could be with Maxwell. Somewhat ironic that an involvement with such an individual as Epstein is used as a cover for an illicit affair with Ghislaine Maxwell. Their relationship extended beyond Caribbean retreats to New York City, where Clinton was repeatedly spotted visiting Maxwell's $11 million townhouse on East 65th Street. The closeness between him, a former president, and her, a charming but increasingly elusive British socialite, drew occasional notice in New York social circles. Clinton and Maxwell were spotted dining together at the Madison Avenue Italian mainstay, Nello, according to a 2002 New York Magazine article, which described Maxwell as a man-eater. She, a female narcissist, undoubtedly hypersexualized in a similar way to that of Bill Clinton, utilizes sex as a means to allow her to control men, to draw fuel from them, to gain residual benefits. When Clinton went stag to a New York education charity gala in late 2001, Hillary declined to attend, Maxwell was reportedly at his side. Chelsea Clinton also grew very close to Ghislaine during this period. Maxwell's vast network, which of course Bill Clinton would seek to access as a residual benefit of his association with her, her assets on generous loan, and her commitment to helping shape the early Clinton Foundation made her invaluable to the family. Accordingly, not only was Clinton able to assert control over her by mutual desire to have sex with one another, he drew fuel, of course, from her by way of her responses, but what really mattered most of all in respect of her was the assistance that she provided to the Clinton Foundation and access to the vast network, meaning she had considerable residual benefits. Because of what she provided, Band insisted Maxwell at a certain point was more valuable to the Clintons than Epstein. You couldn't hang out with her without being with him. Internally, a mounting feud between Doug Band and Chelsea Clinton contributed to the impending fallout. Initially, Band wasn't threatened by Chelsea's new role. Separated by 7 years, they related to each other almost like half-siblings. When Chelsea was in her 20s, Band helped her get concert tickets and restaurant reservations. In 2010, Chelsea sent Band an effusive Christmas card. "I love you, and am thankful beyond words for all you have done, and do for my father," she wrote. But as Vanity Fair noted, in every family, rivalries and jealousies tend to fester. Clinton World sources revealed how Chelsea grew to resent Band. Chelsea hated Doug because he was like a son to her father, a Clinton friend said. Band took offence that Chelsea treated him at times like a hired help. Over the next several months, their conflict unfolded, with Bill Clinton caught in the middle. Chelsea heard from Foundation officials that Band was hustling donors to become Teneo clients behind Bill's back. In turn, Band heard that she accused him of planting a page 6 item about troubles in her marriage, which he denied. Meanwhile, Band told Foundation staff that Chelsea was vastly underqualified to take on a leadership role. Band, however, made it clear that Chelsea's ongoing ties to Epstein were a central source of tension in his relationship with Bill. He saw it as a doomed course, even in social context. Warning signs had been apparent for years. The infamous 2002 trip to Africa aboard Epstein's private Boeing 727, the so-called Lolita Express, marked a turning point. Band recalled Epstein bragging the entire trip like he invented the derivatives market, the grandiosity of another narcissist, an absurd display of ego that masked a far more dangerous intent. Though Band said he had no idea about Epstein's sex crimes back then, he admitted getting enough bad vibes to advise Clinton to end the relationship. Sound advice indeed. Clinton ignored the warnings, continued to socialize with Epstein and taking more than 24 trips on Epstein's jet. Flight logs show a 2003 visit by Clinton to Epstein's private Caribbean island, Little St. James, a trip Band refused to join. In 2006, Epstein donated $25,000 to the Clinton Foundation, residual benefit. Band lamented. Clinton continued to socialize with Epstein and take his money. His remarks stunned the Clinton. Bill must have done something very, very bad, worse than his usual self-dealing and pathological deceit, for Band, a surrogate son, to lash out like this, the New York Post noted. Vanity Fair added, those critics include the Clintons themselves, who offered a caustic assessment of Band when asked for comment. No staffer has ever used their role to serve their interests as much as Doug Band, a Clinton family spokesperson, stated. For many years, he was a valuable member of President Clinton's team and supportive of Clinton Foundation programs, until he wasn't. Chelsea Clinton, meanwhile, maintained a long friendship with Maxwell even after Epstein's crimes became public. So here we have Chelsea Clinton remaining with a friendly relationship with a woman who's having an affair with her father. She, Chelsea, invited Maxwell to her 2010 wedding at the Brook Astor Estate in Rhinebeck, New York, which Band deemed a grab at high society lifestyle. Maxwell had failed to appear at a scheduled deposition, claiming she had to return to England to care for her dying mother. However, at the time of that trip, the elder Mrs. Maxwell was not gravely ill, use of a lie to deflect from a threat to control. Around the same time the deposition was scheduled, Maxwell was spotted in New York. She surfaced in a photo as a guest in the background at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, accompanied by Ted Waite. I knew in telling everyone to stop, including Ghislaine, that Chelsea and her father would be very angry, he said. It made it harder for them to justify being close to her. Despite repeated denials from Clinton spokespeople, the coterie speaking up on behalf of Bill Clinton, Band insisted these ties were real and consequential. Maxwell remained a constant presence at Clinton social events and Epstein-fueled trips. Band lamented, Clinton continued to socialize with Epstein and take his money. Flight logs and eyewitness reports painted a picture of sustained closeness. Another crucial layer to the cover-up is one that might explain why the affair remained mostly untraceable via Google search. The private emails stolen from John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chair, and published by WikiLeaks. These emails contained several references to Google and its parent company, Alphabet's executive chairman Eric Schmidt. The emails reveal a relationship with Schmidt dating back to at least 2008 and showed that Google loaned its jet to members of Clinton's campaign staff on several occasions. According to a February 2015 email to Podesta from Tina Flournoy, Bill Clinton's chief of staff, Google planned to lend its company jet for a trip to Africa. Podesta wrote, FYI, they are donating the Google plane for the Africa trip. Post-Epstein, Clinton remained frequently on flight with Maxwell. Bill was always into Ghislaine, is what everyone has always told me. Several sources relive stories of Bill at events they were part of as a friend to Ghislaine. One source remembers Bill being a great time at parties hosted at Maxwell's townhouse in New York. The source described a scene, him taking tequila shots, surrounded by fawning women, and Maxwell watching him like a hawk from an opposite corner of the room. Naturally, the ebullient and charismatic Clinton enjoying the attention of multiple women, but where he's having an affair with Maxwell, that threatens her control of him, hence her watching like a hawk from an opposite corner of the room. Maxwell frequently flew to retrieve Bill during the Ted Waite years. Familiar with the Waite family when he was dating Ghislaine, they claim she once flew Clinton to a particular destination for an operation of some kind. However, details were shaky as the source was the same age as one of Waite's teenage daughters, too young to care why the former president was on board in interpreting route to a family vacation. Clinton, Maxwell and Waite remained close after Maxwell moved on from Epstein. Bill and Ted wrote each other letters Ghislaine sometimes kept on display. Shortly after Maxwell was sentenced, they continued a vacation with the Waite family, even flying overseas to celebrate Ted Waite's 60th birthday. Knowing how it all unfolded, the fact that Clinton is now named a prime suspect in the files investigation feels straight out of a Shakespearean script. The Clintons used Maxwell for everything she could offer when it suited them, and the moment she became a liability, they dropped her. They distanced themselves, severing all ties to avoid her sins tainting their power, profit, and reputation. Which, of course, is not a surprise whatsoever, that he, as the creator, once recognizing that she had served her purpose, puts her on the shelf and, in effect, disengages from her. Naturally, that would wound Ghislaine Maxwell. And the fact is that Ghislaine's turn against Clinton as ex-lover reads as retaliation, repurposed as leverage to secure a presidential pardon. In her only prison interview, she dropped subtle hints using praise as insinuation. She stated things such as, "Bill Clinton was a very special friend to me. We were close over a long period of time. I was close to both of the Clintons. I helped set up their foundations. He was one of the most interesting people I've ever met. I hosted parties for them." When Ghislaine added that her falling out with Bill was due to her support for Trump, again, everyone failed to recognize the foreshadowing. Even in skirted reference, the chemistry between them was instantly obvious to anyone reading between the lines. His name as frequent guest on the flight logs laid it out. There was no way Clinton was traveling regularly in the company of Epstein and Maxwell without engaging on an intimate level with a woman like her. Sources said she played this circle of men, Prince Andrew, Epstein, and Clinton, strategically. While Epstein and she had fallen out of a romantic relationship, he was still prone to jealousy over her flirtations with powerhouse players like Clinton, and she played it to her advantage. Anyone versed in Maxwell's taste would deduce that Clinton was an obvious conquest from the onset, as is overwhelmingly apparent in the photos documenting their introduction, where she looks like she wants to devour him. He was everything she was drawn to. Immensely charismatic, articulate, intelligent, cultured, powerful, not to mention rich and hypersexual, and said to appreciate the affection of older women because his ego preferred his intellect to be flattered. Fascinating observations provided by Jessica Reed Krause in relation to the relationship between Maxwell and Clinton's two narcissists, whereby this was a web involving Epstein also, and shows how they both gained from it. Clinton in terms of access to sexual activity and networks. For Maxwell, access to sexual activity herself, but also the utilization of charismatic, powerful men to further her own interests. Here, two narcissists collided. They came together and had an affair, both using the other as an intimate partner secondary source in their relationships. And ultimately, the greater decided to dispose of Ghislaine Maxwell once she became a liability as a consequence of the allegations circulating around Jeffrey Epstein and her involvement in all of that, demonstrating once again how the narcissist only cares about him or herself, dropping her like a hot potato to ensure that there was no threat to his control. Fascinating insight of the behavior of two narcissists, one cheating on his wife, the other cheating on her boyfriend, doing as they please as narcissists do, and the ramifications of these interactions that come from it. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.